All right, what's happening, guys? Welcome back. I have my tea with me in my plain black mug just made. It's probably gonna burn my lips. No sugar, barely any milk, just how I like it. Today, we are going to be talking about markets, specifically selling my art at my first market ever and talking about my experiences. And I want to try and go through sort of like a structure just to help you, anyone out there who has been wanting to sell at a market, whether it be art or their own sort of product or anything that they can take to a market. Obviously, I'm going to be talking specifically from an artistic perspective, like prints and originals and how all of that went. So let's get into it. First of all, we're going to start with the prepping process. Before I even had the idea of the markets, I wanted to sell prints. That was, not every, but most artists, they make something, and then obviously selling originals is expensive. So you go the print route, you sell cheaper versions of your art on nice printed paper. I don't know how it is for other people. I've had a massive headache trying to get my prints correct. I went to this one place for a little while, and the relationship I had there with like the head of the fine art department was really good. So I became loyal to them, but at the same time, I'd been with them for months and there wasn't really a time when my prints came out right. First of all, they didn't offer proofing of the work. So if you wanted to get it scanned and then printed, you had to pay for every single proof print that came out. So even if the work was terrible or not what you wanted, that happened to me. Both of those happened to me a lot of the time. You have to pay for every single print. And I don't know, they always got the quote wrong. They always got the sizing wrong. I sent in like drawings, which is basically just black and gray, and some of them came out green, or they printed on the wrong paper. Like, it was just a fuck up. I don't know what they were doing, but for months I couldn't get my prints right. My paintings that I try to get prints of now recently for the markets, they were there for 2 months before I even got to see a proof print, let alone like get the prints right and make like an order for a set of prints that I can go and sell, which was just ridiculous, like, is these here. So these are the proof prints, right? These are from a different place, not the first place I was talking about. I'm not going to name drop because I don't want to badmouth anybody. My camera's upside down, so it's sort of difficult to see. Look how nice these came out. This was the new place that I used, right? This print, well, these two prints at the old place took 2 months to get to me. It was the wrong sizing at first. It was the wrong quotes at first. The saturation was terrible. Like, I don't know why I stuck with them for as long as I did. The main woman that I was working with there, the head of the fine arts department, left. And after that, like, things just really went to shit. But I was loyal to her. We had a good relationship. She got me some good contacts in the art world. And so I figured I'd keep on going there. But once she left, I was like, okay, well, I don't have a reason to stay there anymore. Anyways, I went to a new place, sent my work there, got a quote the next day. It took a week for them to photograph my work, and they gave me unlimited proof printing to make sure that the colors and everything was right and the saturation was there. And the proof prints came out amazing. I think it took 2 for the red lady, and then the ravens took like 3 or 4 to get it right. All free. I obviously paid for the photographing and stuff and for like a slight touch up initially, but then after that they were like, okay, we're gonna make sure we get it right for you before you even come in and look at the proof print. They are gonna do their best to get it as close as they can to the original before I even see it. That's amazing, like, I walked in there and they were like, okay, cool, this is pretty much perfect. Then I looked at it and it was pretty much perfect. So then I placed an order for the actual prints, and they came through the next day. 1 week to get my shit photographed, to get it scanned, like colors properly and everything, to get it printed for the full order so that I can go and pick it up and sell the prints. Blown away. Their relationships, they were really cool. They have like a whole list of artists that I can get in contact with just because like it's just on their wall. They set me up with like art events and stuff like that. Like, really just great experience there. That was a couple months leading up to the markets. And then I finally had the idea to go to the markets, which is the point of this video. And told you I'm going to be yapping for a little while. So now that that's out the way, I can focus on actually going to the market and selling. But obviously I cannot just go and hold my prints in thin air and give them to people while they're open. I needed packaging, needed tables, I needed a gazebo. I don't know why I said that so weird. So I needed all this extra stuff, obviously, to build my little market stall. And I did get everything I needed. The setup and things that I did was very successful. I got a gazebo on sale. I'll go through all the prices and things now. I got the gazebo on sale. I got the table from a friend of mine, so that was technically free. I'm gonna give it back to him and buy my own eventually. The packaging supplies were more expensive than I thought, and it took a lot more effort to pack my stuff than I thought. Like 2 days worth of effort of just cutting up cardboard and packaging all my stuff. But the packaging came out really cool. There was this one guy that I've been seeing on Instagram I followed him for a while, and he has like a whole packing process on his Instagram, and he tags his boxes or he draws on them. He's got his custom tape and everything. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try and at least get like a little bit there for my first one, customize my packaging and stuff, because I don't just want to give my prints in like a cardboard box. So I got a nice black tape. I put 2 pieces of cardboard around the prints and then put like black tape along the edges so it was completely sealed. And then I tagged and graffitied the cardboard itself, so I customized like the whole packaging. And that was 20 prints worth. It was like 4 A2, so pretty big ones, 9 A3, so one size smaller, and then 5 A4, something like that. It came out to 17 total prints. I lost one. I don't know how I lost it. I couldn't find it. Pricing wise for all of this, the prints themselves, excluding the first place that I was at where I got like all of the wrong prints and I had to spend like all that money trying to get like the proofing and stuff. Once I actually got everything sorted, the prints came out to about 4,000 Rand for all of them. It was supposed to be 18 prints, but I lost one. So I had 17, but for 18 prints, it cost me about 4,000 for the scanning, the photographing, the slight editing of the colors and things to get them to what I have to sell to people, the final prints essentially. 4,000 Rand, $226 for people who don't work in Rand, so anyone out of South Africa. For the gazebo, like I said, I got that on special, luckily. Originally it was 2,000 Rand, but I got it for 1,200, which is about $70-ish, 69, 70. And then the packaging materials was about 1,000 Rand, give or take. It's a little bit more difficult to calculate that because like you get like smaller items like tapes and box cutters and just random little like cookies and trinkets and stuff. But let's say 1,000 Rand for like the bulk of the supplies. That's about $57. And then there was one thing I'm missing. My card machine. The card machine was 700 Rand, which is about 700 Rand to dollars is about $40 for the card machine. So I could take obviously card payments and things from people. All in all, total cost. Oh, the market ticket was also 275 Rand, which is about $16. It's a little bit more on the expensive side for a ticket for a market, but one sale more than covers that easily. So it wasn't too big of a deal. But the total cost of the market, I could have cut back on some things. I did spend a little bit extra here and there. Some things I also cut back on and got cheaper versions, so might be a little bit more expensive. But I spent about 7,200 Rand, which is about $410. And that's a little bit pricey, but not as much as some bigger businesses and stuff. Obviously, like 400 to 500 Rand should be more than enough to get you started for a market. Like I said, I'm doing fine art prints, and so there's a little bit more expenses that go into that. Fine art printing is not a cheap process. So if you're selling like handmade goods and stuff, or just a lot more cheaper options of items and things, you can probably cut that down quite a bit. But that's how much it costs for me. So if you're going to be going to a market to sell fine art prints and things, that's kind of what you're looking at. Now let's get into the actual sales of the market. Did it bring me financial freedom? No. I made one sale. It's a little bit of a bummer to say that I only made one sale after spending $410, 7,000 Rand. The one sale that I made was 600 Rand, which is about, what, $32-ish. So Financially, it wasn't a big success, but there is a lot of factors that went into that. My camera battery is low. I'm gonna try and finish this before it dies. First of all, the weather was shit. It was very windy, it was very cold, there wasn't much sun, and there just wasn't a lot of foot traffic at all. And that's probably the biggest factor of why the market didn't do so well, is just because there wasn't a lot of people there to buy my stuff. On the plus side, the person who did buy my stuff pretty much immediately saw it and took part in my art kind of thing. You know, like he walked past, he didn't even walk past, I think he saw my stuff from a distance, and I don't know if like my art called to him or whatever the fuck, but I was sitting down at my table. That's another thing I'm gonna get to, like the stall setup and stuff. Basically, people have to walk into my stall so they can be surrounded by my art and I can chat with them without other people walking by and like knocking them, and they can be in the shade and stuff, etc. But this guy literally peeked his head around a tree and almost ran into my stall to check out my stuff, and he was getting like gassed about the different artworks and stuff. He really liked the work, and we had like a really cool chat just about what he likes in terms of artistic style and stuff, and I obviously described the paintings and things a little bit for him and the drawings. And he, without like hesitation, I want to say, he misheard the price of the print that he wanted to buy. He thought it was 500. I don't know, there was like I said, just a broken telephone situation there. And then just before I like punched in the numbers to take his card payment, I was like, this print is actually 600. You want to still go through with that? And he was just like, yeah, sure, cool. You know, it wasn't like a big deal at all. And it was honestly a really good experience having someone come into my space, purchase my work, and just hear that little card transaction go through on my little card machine, on my little Yoko, just that like ding as he made the payment. It just solidified a lot of things in me. It made me feel really good in that moment to know that my system was working. There is people out there who want my art, and the packaging was really cool. Like he also got a little bit gassed about the packaging. He's like, wow, this is so cool, looking at like the customization and stuff. And it did take a bit of effort, or did take a bit of effort to put in that level of packaging and things. I could have just wrapped it in cardboard, but you know, it's my work. I want people to have a whole experience when they're opening it. I wrote even like a little handwritten note for each of the prints as well, and put like stickers in there and stuff. And it just worked so smoothly, exactly how I envisioned. And yeah, I couldn't have asked for a smoother purchasing process from that one customer who bought my stuff. Shout out, thank you. And then in terms of like conversations from other people, there wasn't a single person who came into my stall who wasn't interested in my work and didn't want to have a conversation. And that's exactly what I wanted, and I look at that as a massive success. I didn't just have prying eyes or people walking by and like scanning my stuff and then just saying, okay, cool, and then leave. You know, everyone who came into my stall showed genuine interest in my work, and I was able to get them onto my newsletter, which is a big thing. That's one of the biggest takeaways from this, is I'm trying to build up my email newsletter so that I can nurture these people, keep them in the loop about future works and stuff. There was one guy who was especially interested in my original work, and I had such a good conversation with him. Like I said, it wasn't busy, so he came in, took our time to just have a chat about my work. We had a chat about, again, how he feels about art and the things that he likes, and he sort of asked me to break down like each of the works that I had there on sale. There was four original pieces that I had on sale. He didn't buy anything there, obviously, but he did join my newsletter and showed pretty great interest in my work and wanting to get original work, so fingers crossed. Stall setup wise, like I said, people have to walk into my space. I had my table a little bit further into my area, my gazebo, so that people didn't just, it wasn't just like a stand on the front of my gazebo and then people walk by and just see the prints and then carry on walking. Like they had to come inside so I could engage in conversation with them and sort of gauge their level of investment. And that worked really well. Overall, in terms of my part in the market, I think I did a pretty good job at setting up, at engaging with my potential customers, and just showing up and being there and being able to show my work to the world. That was really refreshing. I enjoyed it a lot, and I am going back this Sunday, depending on when you watch this, but I'm trying to go every Sunday. So for this foreseeable future, I will be doing a market every Sunday. Like I said, the market wasn't so busy on that day, and that was unfortunate. That's one thing that's just out of my control. I can't control the amount of people who come there. Even if I do marketing and stuff, I can maybe bring a couple people in, but unless the market itself is popping, it's a little bit difficult to make consistent sales. Okay, so my camera died, so I had to come back and finish this video. I hope the mic and everything is still working. But overall, it was a really good experience. If you're thinking about it, just know that you're not gonna go to your first market and make hundreds of thousands of dollars. You might not even break even. But if you can build those connections with people, if you can make sure that the conversations you're having don't just stop at the market and you can market to those people or stay in contact with them somehow, then it definitely is worth it, especially for the fact that you're putting your work out there in front of people, you're getting direct feedback on your work, face-to-face conversations about your work. So yeah, I recommend. Anyways, I'm gonna end the video there. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it was helpful. If you have been thinking about joining a market, do leave a like and subscribe. And if you did like the prints that I showed earlier, you can check out my website in the description. I have all the prints there, and you can contact me about originals if that interests you. It would really interest me. Anyways, stay hydrated, keep practicing.